home soil, and somehow the host nation wins the World Cup for the first and only time in its history. Convenient, isn't it? A goal that may never have crossed the line, a captain sent off for an argument the referee couldn't even understand. The greatest footballer alive kicked off the pitch while officials looked away, and a trophy that was stolen before the tournament even began. None of this is conspiracy. These are facts. What you do with them. That's the interesting part.
Chapter 1: The Trophy.
March 1966. The Jules Rimet Cup, the actual World Cup, is put on public display at a stamp exhibition in Westminster, London. 6 security guards. Broad daylight. Someone walks off with it. The ransom note arrives at the Football Association. £15,000. The FA is so rattled they secretly commission a fake replica just in case. Then, 7 days later, the trophy turns up in South London, wrapped in newspaper. Under a hedge, found by a dog. His name was Pickles.
Chapter 2: Pelé.
The biggest obstacle to England winning that World Cup had a name, Pelé, 25 years old, 2 World Cup medals already. Brazil the heavy favorites. Here's what happens to him. First match, against Bulgaria. Pelé is hacked down repeatedly for 90 minutes. He scores anyway, but he is visibly limping by the final whistle. Second match, against Hungary. He's too injured to play. They leave him out. Brazil lose. Now it's survival. The last group game, Portugal. Pelé isn't fit, but Brazil have no choice. They play him, and then a man named João Moret hunts him down. 2 fouls, both on the same knee. The referee, George McCabe, watches it happen. Doesn't show a card, doesn't say a word. No substitutes exist yet in this tournament, so Pelé stays on the pitch, limping, barely able to walk, completely useless to his team. Brazil lose 3-1 and crash out. Pelé gives a statement to the press afterwards. He says football had stopped being an art, that it had become a war. He says he will never play in a World Cup again. He's 25. He means it. Here's the question Duck wants to leave with you. In a tournament where the most dangerous man in the world was systematically removed from the equation, did referees simply miss it, or did they look the other way? The question isn't whether Pelé was targeted. He clearly was. The question is why no referee in 3 successive matches saw fit to protect him.
Chapter 3: Why Red Cards Exist.
Argentina's captain is a man named Antonio Rattín, one of the best footballers in the world, and he is furious because he believes the German referee, Rudolf Kreidlin, has been making every decision in England's favor. He protests loudly. Here's the problem. Rattín speaks no German. Kreidlin speaks no Spanish. They argue back and forth, neither understanding a single word the other is saying. And then Kreidlin points at the tunnel. Rattín, sent off. For what? The referee later says he sent him off for his attitude. For the way he looked at him. A famous BBC commentator at the time called it being dismissed for violence of the tongue. Rattín refuses to leave. For nearly 10 minutes, the match stops completely. 90,000 people watch. Eventually, he starts the long walk around the pitch, and in one of the great acts of defiance in football history, he sits down on the red carpet reserved for the Queen of England, who, for the record, wasn't even in the stadium that day. England win 0. Afterwards, Alf Ramsey tells his players not to swap shirts with the Argentines. On television, he calls them animals. The rivalry between England and Argentina is born right there, in that moment, and it will define the next 20 years of football history. That sending off was so controversial, it directly led to the invention of yellow and red cards. So referees could communicate a decision without anyone needing to understand the language. A rule born from a match many in Argentina to this day believe was stolen from them.
Chapter 4: The Ghost Goal.
The final. England versus West Germany. Extra time. 2 goals each. Then Geoff Hurst turns and shoots. The ball crashes off the underside of the crossbar, bounces down on the line or behind it, and spins back out. The referee isn't sure. He goes to his linesman. That linesman is a Soviet official from Azerbaijan named Tofiq Bahramov. He speaks neither English nor German. He has one of the worst possible angles to judge what he's being asked to judge. He signals, goal, England 3, Germany 2. Hurst scores again, 4-2. England are world champions. But here's the thing. Was it actually a goal? In 1996, 30 years later, engineers at Oxford University reconstructed the moment. Their conclusion, the ball was 6 centimeters short of the line. Not a goal. Then in 2016, Sky Sports rebuilt it in virtual reality. Their conclusion, it did cross. 2 serious studies, opposite answers. 60 years on, nobody can prove what happened. Bahramov had fought against the German army in the Second World War. Years later, on his deathbed, a journalist asks him, "How are you so sure the ball had crossed the line?" His answer? One word. And then there is the legend. Stalingrad, the battle where Germany invaded the Soviet Union. Now, that story may be exactly that, a story. Football loves a legend. But ask yourself why it's so easy to believe. So, did FIFA fix the 1966 World Cup? Here's what we can say. The host nation won. The most dangerous opponent was battered out of the tournament without a single card shown to his attackers. A quarterfinal was decided by a sending off no one could legally explain. And the winning goal may have been centimeters from being no goal at all. 4 facts. 1 World Cup. 1 winner. History doesn't always give you the verdict. Sometimes it just gives you the evidence and asks you to sit with the discomfort somewhere in a vault. The actual Jules Rimet trophy doesn't even exist anymore. It was stolen again in 1983, melted down for gold. Make of that what you will. I'll let you decide. Duck out.